Well, hello. Let's begin. This is a fun one. Excuse me. I find this one to be very interesting, a little mind bending, maybe a little bit. And I hope that you enjoy it. Let me know, give me feedback, comment below, tell me what your thoughts are. But the topic is, what stage are you in? But this could actually apply to maybe a friend, a family member, could be a parent, could be a sibling, could be a best friend, could be somebody you work with, could apply to pretty much anyone. But what stage you're in is really important to discovering and understanding how to communicate with that person or you're even yourself. And what I'm talking about is the stage in which you are ready to change. Okay, so that's what this is about. I am a empowerment coach. I can empower you to change whatever habits that you're wanting to change, make your life better, create happiness, create joy, shed excess body fat, whatever it is that you're wanting to do. But it's really important for me to quickly identify what phase or stage you're in so I know how to communicate with you. And this applies again to friends, family members, people that you love and care about. I do have quite a bit of content and I want to get this under 15 minutes, so I'm going to start. But what stage you're in, let's begin. Every individual is unique. Every individual is unique. Got to state that right off the bat. So these stages or phases may not completely fit every person, but I bet you anything as I go through these, you have been in these stages, some of them, maybe all of them, or know someone that's in these stages. So it's kind of fun to go through this, and I will kind of break it down where it's easy to understand. We are all living in a complex time. Whenever you're watching this, whenever you're reviewing this, we all can agree on that, I think. That's probably the one thing that we can agree on. We all have something we want to improve. We all have an outcome or something we want to change or do, right? We all have something that we want to improve on, every single one of us. In order to change, it's important to understand these phases of change that I'm going to talk about today and where you are so you can address that stage in a way that will actually create success, whether that be with yourself or someone else. I help a variety of people with a variety of issues, as I've already kind of covered, ranging from finding love, shedding excess body weight, managing stress, big one, balancing life, achieving happiness, everything really in between those. I'm also in many forums, teaching platforms, and that's I have quite a few actually now. I'm in a lot of websites, social media sites, groups, where there's people of all walks of life that are wanting to improve themselves. Some of them, like especially the groups, are topic based, which is really kind of fun. Diabetes or whatever, but I'm in all these different groups, these outlets, where there are people that are wanting to change in one way or another, that are having conversations or dialogues that I can jump in and hopefully help them. The things that are said or typed in these outlets help me understand quickly what phase they're in. Sometimes I have to ask questions to get a better understanding of what phase they're in and help them and lead them to a greater understanding of themselves and what they need to do personally to do next. So as I go through these stages, as I said before, comment below, let me know what stage resonates with you currently for yourself, or maybe even someone you know. You don't have to tell me their name, but maybe you could say my best friend or whatever. But I'd love to know if any of these resonate with you. And I'll give you some of my own personal thoughts too. And some of these, you might be in between some of these too. There also might be a friend or family member you want to help or want to support. But you're not sure how to talk to them. Maybe you've tried. Maybe you've been unsuccessful. Maybe they gave you some pushback and you don't understand why. This might serve you as a great resource or a tool to use to approach them differently in the future, depending on what phase they're in. So this class or this recording is in my own words, but I also am using the trans-theoretical model. It's been around since the 80s, the early 80s. It's been used for smoking, alcohol addictions, and other addictions, and it's now becoming more and more used in different other aspects for losing body fat or other applications. Okay, so let's begin. So the first phase is pre-contemplation. This is an individual or a person that has no intentions on changing anytime soon, not even within the next 6 months. Maybe aware they need to change, right? They feel stuck, they're in a rut, but doesn't believe change will benefit them, right? Like, it's not going to change. It's not. I know I should. My doctor tells me I should, but I don't think it'll do any good. This is the way it's going to be. They're not thinking about or have any intentions on changing. And in fact, they may judge or make fun of people that have made change or do the things that they are being told that they need to do. And they're usually very defensive. And I will tell you that I was in this phase probably 15 years ago and past that. I used to make fun of people that worked out at the gym. I always thought they're wasting an hour at the gym. They're wasting all their money on gym shoes and gym this and all those things that they're consuming. They're such, why not use that same energy and go build something or create something or make something? I had no idea. I used to make fun of people that drank water. I made fun of people that prepped their food. Like, I don't understand. I go home and I cook what sounds good. Why are you cooking bland, boring food? I had so many negative, toxic beliefs. It's not even funny. So I was definitely in pre-contemplation, probably a large part of my life. So example, relating to health, because that's mostly what I work with, is health-related issues. Not exercising and no desire to even start, right? That was me. Unaware, uneducated, what benefits there are by simply moving your body more, not even going to a traditional gym, right? It's not that all or nothing kind of attitude. Not fully understanding the feelings of tiredness, sadness, and health issues could be cleared up or avoided by simply moving more or walking, not a traditional gym or workout. Often people in this stage are defensive. They justify their way of life. They're full of excuses. Just full of them. Endless amount of excuses, multiple barriers, tons of challenges. They're focused on the negative, the I can't. They have really toxic self-talk too, the things that they're saying to themselves and they're believing. And they have toxic negative feelings or say things negative according to how they can move their body too, or what things that need to change. They just have no positive language. Sometimes there's a belief of loss of control that will occur if they do make a change. The control of, they just feel out of control. They're used to just the mundane, they're stuck in their rut and they like that familiarity. And it can be scary for these individuals to feel like maybe they'll be out of control with change. Things are just uncomfortable and they don't like that or want that. Often they need to see people that have succeeded recently close to them in similar situations, right? Because if they're not pretty close to the way they are in the town or city or same weight, same gender, etc., then they just don't believe it's possible. Like they just don't believe that they can change. Another huge barrier is hopelessness or feeling overwhelmed. That keeps them from even trying or starting. Everything I try, I fail at is a common statement. Take someone that wants to shed body fat. Most everyone has tried fad diets, right? I think we all have failed one or two or all of them. Oftentimes they failed many of them and they just believe they can't do it, right? So they don't have the education or are not aware that diets don't work. It's just a marketing ploy. That's all it is. It's a huge industry. But our culture, food companies and marketing brainwashes us to believe diets work, right? It's everywhere. Take the years of Subway ads. It's pure marketing, right? Eat fresh or whatever. Today, keto marketing is huge. Like they put keto friendly on things that really, it's crazy. Like they're just stamping it everywhere. It's unregulated. It's very elusive what it really even means, but it's just marketing. It's huge profits are made by misinformation and people believe it. Learned helplessness is a common mindset of individuals in this stage or ones that are stuck in this stage. It's a belief or opinion that they are stuck because they are born this way, right? They're big boned or they believe deeply that they're helpless. have no power, no control. For instance, someone born in a family of overweight individuals, they're all overweight. No one in the family is healthy. They are diabetic, and that is their fate, right? That's just the way it's going to be. Born helplessness, what that is. So, how to address this individual? Let's say it's your friend, your family member, or just you. Um, but truthfully, they are in no way wanting to change. And if they start, it may last days or maybe hours. There's no interest, right? There's no investment. They don't understand. Sometimes this category oftentimes has to face hardship, rock bottom, death of a loved one, given a health scare by a doctor. This group won't seek help they just don't see lifestyle changes as the problem or the issue that they need to change, or they don't have the confidence that anything will work for them. So sadly, it does oftentimes take something major. And for me, it really wasn't major, other than I just was really, really tired of feeling the way I felt. And I knew it was so clear to me. It was like I had two doorways in front of me, and one of them was dark and gloomy and much of the same. And I really wasn't happy, even though a lot of people thought I was, extreme success and doing amazing in my career and family, and everything was hunky dory. But behind closed doors, I felt awful, felt miserable, I felt sad, and really wasn't happy. So for me, I knew that I needed to shift and change drastically. So I hired a personal trainer, I hired a coach, got the most expensive gym membership in town, and jumped both feet in. So I jumped stages pretty quickly, and we'll go through the other stages and I'll explain. But communication is simply asking how they feel now and how they would feel if they changed, right? It's really diving into the feeling and being exploratory if they're even open to that. They most likely aren't, though. If I talk to people in this category, which is really rare because they don't call me, and if they do call me, it's because someone made them call me. Like, call Catherine, she'll help you. Or you need to get a coach, you need to hire someone. So they call because someone told them to. But it's not what they want. For change to happen and stick, they have to want to change deeply for themselves and not anyone else. Not for your doctor, not for your spouse, not for your kids, not for anyone else. Usually this person is deeply invested in this lifestyle that they've had for probably their whole life. Some see it as a means to get attention, right? Some people that have a lot of medical issues see that they get a lot of attention from doctors and nurses, and they're very invested in it. And the pharmacists and everything, they get a lot of attention, and they don't get it in any other way. And they see changing, losing friends, family, and those doctors and those nurses that pay a lot of attention to them. It is sad how many people, especially now, as we're moving more and more into the internet and this internet generation or era, whatever you want to call it, we have less connection with other human beings. We're talking on the phone less. We're actually having less and less face-to-face communication. But these doctors and nurses are there. So some people are very invested, and I see them quite often, actually, locally in my local area and in some of the forums that I'm in. They deeply are invested in their way of being. It's how they get attention, and it's kind of sad. Often individuals in this state have negative, toxic thoughts about themselves and the world. Doom and gloom. Statements that are not motivating that they say. It takes some skill and talent to have a conversation with them and lead them to flipping their beliefs, their attitudes, and their opinions. But again, they're often very vested in it. More than not, their environment is toxic too. People all around them, day in and day out, are very toxic and in that same rut. They're influenced by others doing the same things. It's really difficult to change when your surroundings are all by negative, toxic people, and it should be avoided. Typically, when this person shifts to the next phase that I'm about to talk about, there's some work needing done to detox their environment, people they associate with, what they listen to, what they read, what they see on TV, on social media, and possibly removing friends and family. Getting rid of friends and family, or setting really high boundaries on certain people that are toxic in order to get steps ahead and make changes. But you've got to detoxify your environment. Worst thing to do is to criticize or judge this category of people. You don't want to make fun of them. You don't want to force change. You don't want to push them. This further deepens a desire not to change. Guaranteed. There is a myth in dealing with serious health related issues or problems. More is better. It's so untrue. I actually took that approach when I started, like I said, in both feet. I jumped both feet in. I did everything all at once. Often the myth is more education, more intense treatment, more intense workouts, the more restrictive eating is where the change happened. And that's so far from true. It's not true at all. As a bodybuilder of 11 years, I know very well that it's small, itty bitty changes, one after another, systematically, that get you results. I see it before every show, like I do it for 16 weeks or whatever. I practice it often, and I just practice it and it works. But what is true is changing a person's thoughts are first and foremost. You've got to change your thinking. So people in this category, again, have negative thoughts. You won't get that person to shift or change until those thoughts are changed first. Your thoughts become feelings, your feelings become actions. So if you're not changing the thoughts, which, they've got to want to do that, then the feelings don't change and action doesn't happen. So in this phase, this is probably the one that I talk about the most. So just a heads up on that, just because there's just a lot to talk about. But in this phase, these individuals need a deep know, and trust with someone to confide in and talk to about any type of change. A deep rapport often takes seeing someone close to them that has succeeded. Again, somebody that's similar, and that they can believe that it's possible. Because again, they have a lot of doubt, they have a lot of shame, they have a lot of guilt, they have a lot of negative thoughts. So powerful questions you can ask this type of individual. If you're wanting to change, when would be the right time and how can I support you? And again, it's if you were to change, right? It's most likely they don't want to. How would you know it's time for change? Oftentimes, again, it's that hitting rock bottom. What are the drawbacks to not changing long term, right? So that one would be a great one to get conversation started with them or yourself to find out. So the next stage is contemplation. This is a great stage or phase, the next one after pre-contemplation. This is an individual planning to start a new behavior or habit within the next 6 months, right? So not now, not today, but in the next 6 months, still seeing benefits, but they also see negatives. They are torn between two worlds, as I like to call it. The one that's familiar, which is old habits, old ways, the way of being, the rut, where they're operating often on autopilot, right? They're just really just on tunnel vision and not really consciously or aware of their thoughts, their feelings, and their actions. They're just on autopilot. And this one, and then so the one world is where they're operating on autopilot, and then the other world is, so that's the familiar world. And then the unfamiliar world would be the change, where it can be scary, right? So they're torn between the two worlds. They want to change, but they're stuck between these two worlds. And I always say that you can't be happy and sad at the same time. Whenever it cancels each other out, so you become stuck. So that's kind of the stuck phase. For instance, they may be used to eating out all the time, and they want to eat healthier. And in order to be successful, they believe that eating at home is the best solution for them, right? Everybody's unique, everybody's different. So, in this scenario, they believe that eating at home is what's going to improve their eating. But there's a but, right? But may not know how to manage their time, plan meals, organize meals, shop, prep, cook, or cook, make portable foods that are ready to eat. They may not know how to do these things. So this phase is easy to identify because, again, they add the but in there. So there's I want to change, but, and then excuse or problem or barrier or challenge in the statement. So I see this a lot in groups and forums that I'm in. I see the but pop up. So an example, I want to shed this fat around my stomach, but I don't know how to cook healthy food. I never learned how to cook, right? So there's the but in there. Usually there's a big barrier or something stopping them, fear, but also knowledge holding them back, right? This person doesn't know how. They don't know how. Probably to plan, cook, prepare, shop, everything. So there's a but in there. And so that's the barrier that needs a solution, something that they can easily implement. This phase are usually stuck in the thinking zone for weeks, months, or maybe even years, sometimes never leaving this phase due to the lack of support or knowledge that they need. The good news, someone holding you accountable increases your success by 80%. Okay, so remember when I first started, I hired a coach and a trainer, two totally different people, two totally different aspects. Personal trainer she was actually more or less a therapist too. She kind of talked to me for that half hour or 45 minutes, whatever we worked out twice a week. But she also got my body moving in a way that was healthy. My coach helped me with the mental aspect, moving me forward, holding me accountable. And I really liked that. So, how you address this stage or this individual is be super curious. Ask one thing that they can focus on. It's common in this phase to want to do all the things at once, like I did. I did it all. But it's common to feel overwhelmed. Okay, so when you feel overwhelmed, what happens? You feel stuck and frozen. So have them pick one thing to change and ask them how to resolve any barriers or challenges that they can foresee. Slowly, bit by bit, small chunks, tackling one at a time. The key to this is one small change at a time and it must be their idea, right? What is it that you want to focus on first? Okay, so don't give advice to this person. They won't listen to it. They won't do it. In fact, they often will do the opposite unless they ask for it. If they ask a direct question, answer it. They often know what the biggest challenge to tackle first and what will work for them. So make it small. Break it down, make it smaller, like the food thing. Tell me what eating healthy means to you. What are the steps to it? And then they'll oftentimes tell you what the challenges or barriers are. But asking lots of questions, being really curious. Remember, they have a totally different view or perspective or experiences in life than you do. You might be a master chef. You might know how to cook. Maybe you know how to food prep, and they have never done that. They've never been taught how to do that. So bring forward all their strengths, talk about their strengths and their successes, what they've done in all areas of life, reminding them that they are able to succeed at setting out goals and smashing them. Focus on their strengths. So some powerful questions you can ask this type of person, or if this is you, what are some benefits to changing? And how this change will impact what is important to you, right? So it might be your health, it might be your confidence, it might give you a better job, greater sex drive, whatever it'll improve. Really dive into that and understanding what that is. I have a motivating factor worksheet that's great for pulling out all of this. So message me below if you're interested in that. It's easy, it's free, it's online. So often this is answered with negative statements though, right? So how will this impact your life? A lot of people will respond with a negative statement. So for instance, they might say, this is important to me because I'm sick of feeling like crap. Can't tell you how many times I'm like, what do you want? And they're like, I don't want to feel like crap anymore. Oh, I get that that's what you don't want, but what do you want more of? Right? So we often are focused on the negative things. So you've got to help them flip it. So then you would say, what would it feel like if you succeed or when you succeed, right? What is it going to feel like when you, instead of feeling like crap, what is it going to feel like instead? Really diving in and trying to pull out their language, their words of what's important to them. Okay, so the next phase, preparation phase. So some of you might be in this phase watching this, probably more than not, more than of any of the other phases that we're going to talk about today. This is an individual that's ready to act within the next 30 days. I need to do something now, might be something that they're saying. They've begun to take small steps, maybe joining a gym or online apps, looking at ways to learn how to cook healthier, right? Might be signing up for food boxes or things that are delivered to the door or ordering food online from the grocery store. Maybe signed up for a class for getting help on how to cook or asking a friend to teach them. Typically, this phase, the individual has some education on their own. They've done some research, some Googling, which beware, not always is that information real and good. Maybe they've reached out to people and asked questions. They're often open and curious versus the previous stages where they're closed off, not receptive, and they were defensive before. Right now, their attitude is opening up. They're curious. This is the fun phase. Sometimes, not always, the stage individuals can have an unrealistic goal. Like, I'm going to lose 10 pounds a week or something. Perhaps they've seen someone on social media change before their eyes and they're expecting these same results. Beware, it's false advertisement. We are all unique, right? We all have our own hormone levels. We all have our own medical issues, genetic markers, challenges, and things that life throws at us. We're all unique. The best way to address this is making one big, hairy goal, one audacious goal, but setting it aside, putting it on the shelf, and then creating some small micro goals that lead to that bigger goal. We are human and we love success. We love rewards. We love to make it fun and exciting. So understanding what is or isn't a realistic goal actually usually takes someone else to know what your goal is, maybe listening to you, often someone that's educated, outsiders experience different perspective to help you create these goals, such as a coach or a trainer, maybe a doctor, maybe another health or medical professional, but it does usually take someone else breaking you the news if it's true or real. Typically, the reason they start are greater than the excuses, right? The other stages had more excuses than reasons to start, but they do need to know why they are starting so they can visit that on the days that are hard. But they are ready to launch. This is a fun phase because they're eager, they're excited, and they're curious. Okay, so is that you? Is that somebody you know? But this is another phase that's great to hire a coach. Actually, all phases are great to hire a coach. It's all just a different perspective. But addressing this individual, you would want to say, what support do you need? How can I hold you accountable? And what things can you do when you start falling off track, or what can I do to support you when you fall off track? Ensure that their goals are realistic again, and make sure that the steps are super easy and tiny, something that they can do every day, they can stick to, they can track. And then what do you do when you slip up? You got to plan ahead and have coping mechanisms created. So, powerful questions. What is something small you can do daily that will bring you closer to your goal? What is your why? What is it going to feel like, look like, taste like, smell like? What are people going to say when you reach your goal? When are you wanting to start, and how can I hold you accountable? Okay, so action phase. Got two more phases and then I'm done. The action phase, in this phase, the individual has started, right? But it's only been under 6 months. Okay, so you might be in the action phase, and that's great, but it is the most fragile phase. This phase can be monotonous, it can be frustrating at times. That's why it's important to avoid the diet. Rather, create healthy habits, a way of being, creating an identity, the way that you view yourself and how people see you. Support is enormous in this phase. This phase needs greater education and reassurance. Education needs to continue throughout all the phases, except for, of course, the first one where they don't want to change. But this first 6 months is the most difficult for certain. I struggled with it. Again, I don't promote or even coach diets, right? Because diets usually fail 2 to 6 weeks in. Maximum is 12 weeks that a human being can handle. They just don't work. They're painful. They're restrictive. They usually remove nutrients that we need, that are essential. It creates bad relationships with food. It jeopardizes your muscle mass that you're needed later on to continue burning fat. And that your metabolism. Plus, at the end, you want to have a good looking body, and you need that muscle mass. This stage, a coach or support is critical, in my opinion. New challenges and new barriers are going to pop up. Life is going to happen. Things are going to, loss of family members, loss of pets, divorce, moving, job changes. It's just like life just is in full swing, right? Can't predict what's going to happen. Coping with stressors and what life puts before us is necessary. You need someone to help you with coping skills. The greater the stress, the greater the need to have healthy habits. But what is the first thing that goes out the window when you're super stressed out? Your healthy habits. 9 times out of 10. So I just got to be really close to my clients and ask them to reach out to me when these things happen. And we have, a menu of things to help them relieve their stress. So coaches are valuable in this stage. Can't stress that enough. To keep the momentum going and also prevent plateaus. A lot of plateaus happen in this phase, where, especially if it's on a weight loss journey, you might find that you plateau, unless you've had a coach or a trainer up until this phase. They know how to protect and prevent you from having that. So how do you address this individual? With permission, this individual is open to advice and additional support, but you got to ask them before giving them advice. Period. People don't like to be told what to do. They're often facing plateaus, as I said, and need an understanding in how the body adapts to changes and how to overcome these plateaus, because again, they can be very frustrating. That's what I see most in this phase, is the plateaus. Well, it's not working. I hit a wall. So what are some powerful questions? What's working and not working for you? Are there any areas that you want to improve on now? Because things are going to change, right? Their goals may be changing. Sometimes a lot of people come to me and they have a date in mind, like a graduation or a wedding or something or a vacation, and maybe that's shifted or changed. So we need to make sure that your goals and your why are still the same. Any new barriers? Can we create a new goal and update the goal? The final phase, and I definitely didn't get this under 15 minutes, so I apologize, is maintenance. So individuals that feel the most empowered, individuals in this stage feel empowered. They have applied the behavior change for 6 months or greater. They know how to deal with slips, falls, lapses, falling off track. But they know, when they slip up, and they know how to get back on, and with no guilt, no shame, and they bounce, right? They bounce, they fall off track. Maybe they even do it on purpose, and then they get right back up. So, and then with this individual, really the only thing that you need to address is what's a new goal. And it may not have anything to do with the original goal. It might be something else in life. Maybe it's making more money, finding love. It could be something completely, completely different. So, all right. As always, reach out to me if you need help with this or any other topics. Thank you for hanging in there. Bye.